Hello, this is National Chess Master Coach Bill. I'm here at chess.com, and Saturday it means it's another simultaneous from FIDE Master Christian Apfler. Um, let's see, so one game just ended. I was appalled here. I don't know if the time showed up at the beginning of this video, but both sides, look at this, an hour and 30 minutes on the clock. Okay, now we started with 1 hour with a 1 minute increment. That means that black completed 36 moves in 6 minutes. Okay? That means you're moving, I don't know, 10 seconds a move. I'm not going to do the math. You have 2.5 minutes per move to make a decision. So we're going to do a quick run through on this game and identify your mistakes. Then we're going to close this one because I don't devote much time to people that play fast. So this right away, premature. This is not theory. Open up a book, learn the opening. See now, look at the time. The normal move here is knight c3. Okay, that's your normal move. Okay, so now you've lost casting privileges and you're going to get forked. Okay, how do you defend both pawns? The answer is you don't. So, there goes one, there goes a rook. Game over. Just like that. Just like that. You've played too quick. You know, how long did you decide take on e5? Okay, let's see. Well, that game. Now he's playing another one. Well, let's come up here. Okay, I hope you slow down next game. But watch this. Okay, let's look at the clock. Okay, the clock goes up by 57 seconds. That means you took 3 seconds on a move. Just learn the book openings and be able to play knight c3 in 3 seconds. Save your time for later. Okay, so we're going to do a quick run through. There goes the exchange. Assuming he can win this knight. You got to do that too. Okay, so this stops tricks this way. Now he's trying to get out and win it, I guess. Okay, attacks another pawn. Develops. So he just says, well, I'm lost. I'll take a pawn for it. So black is ahead, the exchange, and 2 pawns. And white is continuing to play quick. And little threat, but that's dealt with. Okay. You know, so there goes another pawn. Okay, there goes a piece. How long did you take on this move? Okay, let's see. Wait, I didn't do it right. Okay, 124, 22. You took 4 seconds on the move. It loses a piece. My goodness. You want to get good at chess? You know, let's get that 802 rating up. You got to slow down. More material lost. Oh, there goes a bishop. Now there's a checkmate. Okay, end the game. I hope you do better in your other game here. Okay, let's see. So, okay, now, if you want to learn opening theory, you'll learn that this move is not good. It blocks your bishop in. You can get a perfectly good grandmaster position if you play knight c6. You're fine if you play knight f6. You're fine if you play the elephant gambit, the Latvian counter gambit, the Philidor defense, but don't play queen e7. So, you know, I'm going to come back and I'm going to come back. Let's look at some of the other games. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is an interesting position. Black's almost fully mobilized, but he's coughed up a pawn. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Okay. Yeah, I'm still here. There's a silly message I always get. Okay, so c3 Sicilian. Okay, this is all seems to be theory. Now here, Christian decides not to take the pawn. I'm not Christian. The other guy decides not to. I guess that's reasonable. You could trade queens and then take it, I suppose. No, you can't take it. The queen's traded, so you got to work to get to get this back. So maybe, I know a lot of times black plays this move, so probably he should have done that. Okay, let's see. So white's holding on to his pawn and trying to catch up in development. Okay, so I would say here that black made a mistake in allowing this to happen. I don't see any, there's one weakness in white's position here. I don't see any way to go out and attack that pawn. Matter of fact, we have to stop and save the queen now. Okay, found that square. Okay, now if takes, the bishop can take, and the piece isn't lost. Okay, we'll come back on this one. Looks like it's in white's favor. Okay, so here we're at move 21, and white has more time on his clock than he started. I tell you guys every week, slow down. Slow down. You have 2.5 minutes a move. 60 minutes plus 60 minutes to start, plus a 60-second increment. If you take all your time, I'm going to play one move, maybe you don't want to advance it. If you take all your time to reach a move 40, you'll have spent 2.5 hours, no, that's wrong, you'll have spent 40 moves, you get 40 minutes more, you'll have 100 minutes invested to get to move 40. That's 2.5 minutes a move. Okay? And you still have the 1 minute increment to live off of. Okay, so Scandinavian Defense. And usually black likes to play this Caro-Kann style and stay safe. Should be a relatively even opening. I don't think H3 helps white any. Why doesn't it help him? Well, unless he's trying to keep the knight out, so he can keep the bishop here. But the bishop could have gone to a different diagonal. Okay, so let's go forward. So black has given up the bishop pair and accepted some double pawns. Coffee. Oh, that's good. Delicious. Folgers in a cup. So here, black may want to take the bishop here away from white. That'll leave opposite colored bishops. So he decides, well, go ahead and take it. And he does. Okay, so now we have a very interesting middle game. One of the rules of opposite colored bishops is the attacking side is a piece ahead. Can this bishop attack? Can this bishop attack? Let's look at open lines. Well, let's see. We have this diagonal here. If this can advance up to here, and we can take back, that requires preparation. It would be active on that diagonal. Now, this bishop is bumping into this pawn. We could advance, and black can't really use this square because the bishop guards it, but he could start assaulting the d4 pawn. And let's see. So if the pawn goes to c5, bishop here, we can put the queen here and a rook behind it, either one. And we could even bring the queen to c7 first, and then choose to put either a rook or a queen behind it. You would have 3 attackers, and it looks like white can get 3 defenders. And then neither, the black bishop is active attacking a pawn, but it's attacking a pawn that's defended. So the other choice is that white would like to advance the pawn to d5. Now in this case, well, here it's black's move, but by advancing the pawn to d5, we can't take back this way because of the pip. So let's see, black plays bishop f6. Okay, it makes sense. Now, this is under attack. What do we do with it? but we advance it. Now here he's willing to give up a pawn, though, to do this. I'm not sure if this is wise. It might have been more to the point to just play a little defense. Because, you know, that's all this bishop can do is attack a pawn. Now you're, you know, you're developing some play here. Well, let's see. White sacked a pawn here, and this pawn is under attack. But this pawn is under attack. But this does open up, by sacrificing the pawn, White did activate this bishop, which looks like it had some trouble getting active. Okay, so seems to be a reasonable approach by White. He's willing to give up a pawn for some activity. And I guess he's going to get back the d5 pawn. Huh, okay. Well, he got it back, but he was down 2 pawns. This is under attack. So, yeah, for the price of the pawn, the position is opened up. But not only is the white bishop active, the black bishop is active too. So White's goal should be to trade queens and rooks and then notch a draw on the bishop opposite color ending. But that's a long way off. Okay. Now this, I don't know. I would decline the queen trade and stay on the dark squares, and I guess White could offer another queen trade, but we want to try to activate this pawn majority and get a passed pawn on the board. Okay, let's switch over to this one. Okay, 20 moves. Okay, so they're both playing. Now the master we'll forgive him for playing quick. He can't keep track of the time. I mean, he just has to move on from one game to the other. And I know when I do it, I don't necessarily look at the clock early. Okay, we got to play one move, so it won't do that to me. Okay, so, but there's no reason, you know, for the white players to, I mean, for the opponent, the simul opponent to move quick. You have time. You need that time. You'll learn more about chess if you take your time. You learn how to plan. Okay, so now we have the very quiet opening. Both sides are developing. Now we're going to get some pressure on e4 with this bishop at some point. Here it is. Although it's thrice defended, the game seems even here. Okay, so he's going to let it part with it. Okay. Now this can expose e4 to some potential pressure here. Let's see, pawn takes, bishop takes. We have 3 attackers on e4, and we have 3 defenders. Okay, so got to be careful. Okay, now this pawn is a little bit of a liability. It's also pinned. If White could get pawn into c5, you know, he might have reasonable chances here. Okay, so game seems even. This is what happens with a lot of Christian's games. They seem to be even, and then he just gradually outplays you. You know, you make that little mistake, and he pounces. Now that's a strange square for the knight, but maybe it's necessary to get it back in play. Let's see, he's going to go here, and he's going to go here. And we'll leave this game for now, switch over here. Okay, here's another case of moving too fast. We're at move 31. White spent 15 minutes on 31 moves. Okay, he's moving 30 seconds a move. You have 2 minutes and 30 seconds a move. Let's see, what's the result? Well, seems to be a pawn ahead. But if he keeps up this pace, you know, he'll miss his winning chances here. So it looks like Black can maybe come up here and get his pawn back and try his luck in the king and pawn ending. Although that would probably favor white because he has the possibility to make an outside pass pawn. So let's see where how this game transpired. Okay. So we have a French defense. Rubenstein variation. So this bishop has some activity. Usually the French bishop doesn't. Okay, so he parts with the bishop pair willingly. So white's ahead in development. White's castled and got his queen out, and black doesn't. So white might be slightly for choice here simply because he has the bishop. Now white can threaten mate, but he's not going to allow that. E5 could be under some pressure. Okay, breaks the pin. Oh. What's he doing here? Oh, I see. He's got a tactic. Okay, so this is how white stole a pawn. Okay, so, but you know, so maybe black castling is a mistake here because it seems to set up a tactic. You know, the idea is so maybe you have to play here and or here. And then if the bishop moves, you're in a pin, but then you get the queen out. So castling may have been a mistake. Now it looks like white is winning a pawn. So you get rewarded for moving quick. And in theory, white should be winning. He's just up a pawn. But if you keep moving fast, you'll have no one but yourself to blame if the game ends in a draw. Okay, so here black got rid of his bad rook. Okay, so white seems to be a little dominant here, but the king has got the rook neutralized, so it's time to get this rook active. That's what he does. He wants to shift over to one of these open lines. Picks that one. And since the D file's open, here he comes. Keeps white out of the 7th. But now white is defending. And they've played several moves. Let's see. Now, you can't take this. You're going to lose the king and pawn ending. Now we're going to get the 7th. So now they're repeating the position. White isn't making any progress. Oh, we just had another game start. Good. Okay. Let me fill up my coffee. Okay, I got coffee. And I have to sneeze. Okay. Okay, so here a draw. Okay, white had the advantage. He shouldn't have been giving up a draw. I'm going to say that this comes from inexperience and not moving too quick. So they repeated the position a few times. What did white do wrong here? Well, you know, I think to some degree, you know, when you come back here, you know, white had total control of the D file. Okay, now these rooks are both active. This rook is passive. So by trading it off, white gave up that power he had. So the first step to converting your advantage is to improve your position. You can't improve the position of the rooks. But white also, or black can't afford to trade the rooks if he even can. Because he'll go into an endgame or rook and he'll go into an ending down a pawn. A king and pawn ending down a pawn, which will spell defeat. So what white can do is he can mobilize this king. Let's get the king up to here. Let's consider a pawn advance and attempt to try to create a passed pawn. Now, eventually some files will open up. Black can search for counterplay, but black is just sitting there waiting for that to happen, and white remains in the driver's seat. So the first step towards making this a draw was to trade off his active rook. So this rook is dominating, but it can't really do anything. And now the rook becomes a defensive piece. Now again, black can't afford to take this. Let's move forward. And now he can't take. But the simple thing here is you just got to decline the draw with king back here. But black has activated his material. His king is getting better. Black's got some compensation. White's rooks were dominating. Now black's is. Why? Because white traded a rook off. Okay. So let's take a quick look here. Now this is a okay, so he moved too quick in the first game. Now we're at move 37, and white has mate in 1. And there it is. Okay, so you got 38 minutes back on the clock. You spent 8 minutes on 39 moves. How can you get better at chess if you play so quick? You can't. No title player, none of us, not a single one of us, got our title by playing blitz chess. If you want to play blitz, there's a separate forum for that. Yeah, let's see here. So this is what it means to play a female. They crush you completely. Too fast. Yes, too fast. Way too fast. See video later. Okay. So I had a little bit of commentary there. Maybe he'll respond. Got it. Okay, I hope you got it. Okay, I'm going to repeat. No title player won their title by playing blitz chess. In the old days, before the 1990s, FIDE had a time control 40 moves in 2.5 hours, and then 16 moves an hour. And they would adjourn after 5 hours to play. So somewhere around move 40, 44, they would adjourn the game. They'd go home. The master would go to sleep. He had a team, they'd call his main guy a second, would stay up all night and analyze the position. The master would get his rest, and he'd show the master in the morning what he worked out. Okay? And sometimes if the game was hopeless, they would just, I resign, not going to bother playing, I respect your talent. Then in the 90s, Bobby Fischer invented the Fischer clock, or Fischer time controls. That's your increment. The idea is games completed in one session. So the current FIDE time control is 40 moves in 90 minutes. You get a 30-second increment. And after move 40, you get a bonus 30 minutes. So if both sides use all their time to reach move 40, we have, let's see, so they're going to get 90 minutes plus an extra 20 minutes from their from their 40 moves at 30 seconds each, they're going to get 110 minutes to reach move 40. So 220 minutes will elapse just getting to move 40. That's almost 4 hours, not quite. The old FIDE time control, you made move 40 after 5 hours, assuming both sides took their time. Okay? So then you continue with your 30-second increment. That doesn't go away, but you get an extra bonus 30 minutes to finish the game. So if you take all your time to get to move 80, just for an example, say you need twice as long, you're going to get back an extra 20 minutes. Okay, on your 40 moves for your increment, plus your 30 minutes, you'll have 50 minutes to make your next 40 moves. But usually by the ending, it's easier to calculate, and the players can handle it. And very few games go beyond 5 hours. They do, but very few do. So anyway, there is a possibility in the United States to get a national master title by playing 30-minute chess. But if you want a FIDE title, and it is not going to happen. And the best you can get in the United States, FIDE master, national master. I don't even think Chess.com awards the SM, the senior master. In the United States, if you break 2400, they'll give you a senior master title. I have friends that that have the certificate. Anyway, let's just do a quick run through. So I hope you learned your lesson. You need to learn openings. Okay, so this is, open up a chess book, watch a video, take time, start learning some theory. When I was 7, I'm a late starter to the world of competitive chess. I was reading chess books regularly at age 11. There are kids that are masters at age 11, okay? But I was reading chess books at age 11, and I read every book I could get my hands on out of the public library, okay? And I played in the chess clubs. I had to wait until grade 7 just to have a club at school. And then through high school, and I read every book at my junior high school and my senior high school. I read every chess book in those libraries. And finally, the end of 11th grade, when I had a year left of school, I found a chess club that ran tournaments, and I joined it. And summer of '72, I was reading a lot of chess books. And I had one book. It's called The Complete Chess Player. It's by Fred Reinfeldt. Most of it is beginner stuff, but there's about 50 pages near the end where he discusses all the openings. Now, he doesn't go into great detail, but he gives a line of a variation of every main variation, and says white's better because of this, white's idea is this, black's idea is that. You get the idea. Well, you know what? I read every page. I played the moves over on a board. I sat down with the book, and when I was done, I did it again. And it's funny, the knowledge I picked up over 48 years ago, I still remember what I read in those books, and the choices of those openings and some of the games that came out actually had an influence on the openings I picked later, and even still to today. But the point was, I sat down with the book and I learned what to do. And this move is not in any book. So if you're not reading chess books, how do you expect to get better? It's not going to happen by simply playing. Some people, they call them coffee house players. A coffee house player is someone that has no formal training in chess. They show up at the local place where they sell coffee, like Starbucks, or they're all over the United States and Europe, and they learn tricks and tactics from playing maybe some other good players, but they have no basic formal opening knowledge. So you can take advantage of a coffee house player's opening by building up an overwhelming position. If I had black here against Christian Afler, I would expect to lose this position right now, because I've committed this terrible move. Now, it doesn't mean I'm losing yet, but I have my work cut out for me. Okay. So now the queen. Now we're blocking the D pawn. You can't develop this bishop. Okay, so now, how many times does queen move? 1, 2, 3 times. And white is ready to do more developing here. So he creates a threat down here. Now you have to play something like knight back. Now you counterattack with a threat, but this is easily met. Castles. Now I guess black should castle here. Let's just see. Can he get away with, well, bishop takes check. After the king moves, we still have to deal with this threat down here, and this becomes, okay, so, but this is a coffee house move. That's based on, that's your handling of the difficulties you're in, because you can't get anything else developed. So by castling, you know, suddenly these pieces don't look so good. Okay, so now this is a strategic move. It's designed to keep your knight out. Okay, now here, this is, in a way, this is a waste. Now let me explain why. Where is this knight going to go? What do you think? Well, if he takes down here, we give up 2 pieces for the rook and pawn. That gives black an extra piece, and most likely a winning position. Now, it might go down here if black doesn't pay attention to a checkmate, okay? But I think black will understand and prevent that. So that means this knight is going here or here at some point. Why not just develop a piece and make white figure out this knight is misplaced? Make him move it on his own instead of forcing it to move. Okay, so you didn't do anything to help your, this does nothing to help your position. Now this f-pawn is defensively pinned. Later, if your queen gets out of there, like, give you an example, let's see, whose move is it here? If white play, or black plays here, well, let's see, I'm just going to arrow some moves. I'm pushing this pawn to protect this square. Then this, and then knight here. White is threatening to play knight g6, forking the queen and the rook, and we can't defensively take. That's what h6 does. It weakens your position. Okay. So now he says, well, I got to develop this bishop. He picks, you know, kind of an inferior diagonal to go on. Now here he makes a choice to give up a piece for 2 pawns. Now the remarkable thing here is how quick you made this assessment. See, your clock, you spent 12 seconds on this move. 12 seconds. 12 seconds. You can't calculate all the ramifications of this to see if there's anything for it in that short a time. I'm not saying this is a bad move, but look at this. You're also exposing your rook. And what is this knight threatening to do? Take the bishop? We know we're going to take this, and black will have a couple guys under attack. But I guess he can just take the rook. That's probably better. He takes that. Now here black needs to play c6. But black is going to be losing something here in a moment. Well, he's already given up a piece. So you can't make an evaluation in 12 seconds to see if this is the right line. I mean, a strong master like Hikaru Nakamura, who's the greatest, possibly the greatest bullet player in history, would never even consider knight takes b4. If he considered it being a mega flash, then he'd know, oh, that's no good. It just drops a piece. So, you know, well, suddenly, what is black down? He's behind a knight and a rook. And he's got to trap this bishop. He's got to, you know, play c6 and figure out how to win this guy. Just to be down a rook. And now the bishop got out. There goes another pawn. There goes the exchange. So suddenly black is down 2 rooks. The queen's got traded. It's just a matter of administrating a checkmate. And now it's going to be a quick mate, one way or the other. We're going to push the king back. And there's the mate. So you can't play too fast, especially against someone as strong as Christian. Okay, if you take your time, you actually have a shot. You'll learn. You'll learn about chess. You'll learn about calculating. Okay, so we're done with this game. We looks like we had a result in. Well, we'll come back on that. Well, actually, we went to it. Okay, so this is the one where white stole a pawn. Let's see, where did I leave off? A little before here. Oh yeah, right when queen c2. Okay, so white's got a queenside pawn majority. If he can activate it, that means pass pawns, and he is activating it. Although this is restrained because c5 would fall. Oop, I'm hitting the back arrow. Pawns don't go backwards. Okay. Sometimes we wish they could go backwards so we could repair the damage we did when we advanced them. If there's an international master that published a position, what's white's best move? And the answer was to retreat a pawn he had advanced, which is illegal, but the point is, if he could do that, his game would be fine instead of dead lost. Don't quote me on it, where it is. I saw it, oh God, 6 years ago. So, now these pawns are a little weaker, and this knight has a nice square to visit. Okay, still can't advance here, but we'll work on that. Uh-oh. Black miscalculated, but maybe he has to. If you don't, the rook could come up here, but I don't know. Try to undermine. He's afraid of some discoveries against this. So maybe the rook shouldn't have gone to c7. Okay. So white picked up a second pawn, and the pin is being neutralized. And now black has shattered kingside pawns too, so this is strongly in white's favor. Okay, so at this point black resigned. I guess the logic is that this bishop is a spectator, and this are coming. We can't save this. No, it's clearly lost. Okay, so that was tactics and chess. Let's see, I think this one ended. Yeah, we had this one as a draw. There's down to 2 games left. So these guys are being extremely generous. Okay, we haven't looked at this. Okay, here's the clock. 30 minutes gained on the clock, 61 moves. So he played 61 moves in 31 minutes, 30 seconds a move. I'm sure we looked at this at some point, but I don't quite remember. But that's where he gave up the pawn. So, now white has some reasonable chances to hold this. He did trade. Now, let's see. So, the rooks are active, although we can't get to e7. The white rooks are a little more active than their counterparts. So, white's strategy should be to get those rooks active, but it's black's move. So he challenges on this file since the bishop controls this square. So this is an excellent move. Now if you go to e1, white might trade and then plant a rook on d7. See, now I made that calculation rather quick. What, 3 seconds? But that's only one of the calculations I make in the course of when I average my 2.5 minutes a move. Okay. Some of you guys are making these decisions without even thinking, and you're taking 10 seconds, 15 seconds on a move. You can't do it. Okay, so I'm not sure if this helps white any, but white's goal is to use the light squares and try to erect a blockade. And black has his work cut out for him. The king is tied down to defending this. The king can't just run over the queen side too easily. But he does start transferring it. And we have the pawn majority. Now what is this? Oh, it's a rook trade. Now, I wouldn't have done this rook trade. Because, okay, white has two active rooks. This is kind of passive, although it is supporting the pawns. We're trading an active rook for a passive rook. But it's playable. I don't think black has a clear win yet. And this is the right choice. Go to bishop opposite colors. But here, this is smart. Now, black plays on the dark squares. So black will probably follow up with g5 and f6 to make sure that none of these kingside pawns become targets to the white bishop. Then try to centralize the king and acquire a passed pawn, but keep the rooks on the board. Okay, now this is premature because this gives white the passed pawn. I'm sorry, gives black the passed pawn now. What's the hurry? See, black has a long way to go to get his passed pawn. All right. So, case in point, if black pushes here, he doesn't control this square. The bishop may occupy it. If you kick this first and it comes back, you can't advance the b pawn until the a pawn is protected. So that means that you either have to back it up with a rook at some point, or you have to get the king over here. Now that's a lot of moves. It's a lot of moves for black to do this. Why shortcut it for him? So this is strategically an error. Now it doesn't mean white is losing yet. He may, if he can trade rooks, he's going to hold a draw. But you just made it a lot easier for black. That's my point. So as long as white plays on the light squares, he's hanging on. Okay, now he's gonna. Alright, so this is interesting. Now black is going to have a couple of pawns fixed on light squares, and white will have at least one pawn fixed on a dark square. So these are potential targets. And if they get traded off, then if white can trade off all these kingside pawns, he should be able to hold a draw, because this bishop can sacrifice itself later when this pawn advances. And as long as white understands the end game, you can look these up. There's the Philidor position. That's where white wins with rook and bishop versus rook. And there's the Cochrane position where you hold with the rook versus rook and bishop. Very tricky stuff. Wikipedia has a page for each. Okay. So I would say, white's still holding on. I'm not happy to play with white, but at this point I wouldn't think that I would lose this game with white. I think I can hold a draw, but I know that black isn't giving me one. I have to prove it. Okay, now here, this just seems to lead to a dead draw. Okay. Now maybe he's going to win one of these pawns, but I don't think that black can win this. So it's over. Let me see. Are the clocks? Yeah, the clocks are moving. So here, 41 moves. White's gotten 40 minutes. Back on the increment, he's made his moves in 25 minutes, so way too fast. So now is the time to make sure you secure the draw. This isn't, you played with fire for a long time. By playing with fire is you're moving too quick against a stronger player. So now you have to slow down and hold the draw. Okay, so right now, black can't advance this pawn. He needs his king to help it. So all this pawn is doing is tying this bishop down to this diagonal. Now, if black can win both of those pawns, suddenly it'll become a win. But there's a long way to go. Now, if you draw a clear path for the king, you better make sure you win these pawns or trade them off. Okay. And that's what seems to be happening. Now here, I think h5 is the correct move, and we're running black out of pawns. So all we have to do is get this pawn off the board, and we hold a draw. You're that close. Okay, but close is no cigar. Now that this pawn is defended, this king coming up and supporting the pawn to advance become a serious issue. So all of a sudden, it's almost like black is winning this. It's very close. Now there goes the pawn. Now by putting it here, it means he can never take it. Now black is winning. So you can never take the pawn. See? Just zigzag the king out of there. Come over there and collect the pawn. So white messed this up. How did he mess it up? You know, he was trading pawns, but he didn't trade them all. So let's go back to the rook trade. Okay. To hold this, you know, here white has better king position. So maybe what white needs to do is go ahead and give this pawn up. And see, black can't make progress with his double pawns. This pawn remains on a light square, and I think white holds the draw. So let's see. Well, let me analyze. Looks like we had another game end. We're down to one game. Wow, this is a fast simul. Okay, let's see. Trying to remember if I can analyze this position. So, you know, with the better king position, this pawn is less needed. Okay. Let's see, whose move is it here? What move am I on? Oh, it's right after the rook trade. Okay. So he chose this. So now here, white played this. So let's just stop and give check. Well, let me do that. Or is that what he did? No, that's not what he did. Now, what are the choices here? If you go this way, I'm going to come down here and steal this pawn. No, we can't. This pawn runs. Oh, no, we can do it. Okay, now this seems to hold. Okay, now the moment this pawn advances, it gets taken. So this was the simplest way to draw after bishop b2, was to play bishop b3 check. So if the king comes this way, here goes this pawn. This is a goner. So we go up, we take, we push again. Let's see, what if he, no, we try to take this square away. The bishop just, we just clear a spot for the bishop to come back this way. Okay, so that doesn't work. So, you know, we try to use the king to help. And then here, now we advance these pawns. So we can only go so far with the pawn. And, so I don't even have a good place to put the bishop. You know, it's, now we have to take, and now it's a draw. So the bishop check was critical. What White didn't take into account was that he couldn't get, he didn't calculate that he couldn't get rid of all the pawns. Okay, so we'll close the one on this. And we have one game left, which I haven't even looked at. It's one that started late. Okay, what happened here? An accidental little checkmate. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is the one. He was set up some play against e4. Now here, White has more time than he started, so he spent, in essence, 1 minute a move because he didn't gain any time on his clock. 1 minute a move as opposed to, I'm getting all these messages. I don't have time for them. He just lived off the increment, didn't use his extra time. Okay, so let's rush through here. Okay, that's when the knight redeployed. So, White's holding his own here. He's definitely not losing. He's got the bishop pair, but he does something wrong. What does he do wrong? He's back on a8 again. Okay, but we have a square here that we'd like to get to. And if we go here and it gets taken, we have the B file, and unless White can play B4, he has no activity on the B file. So very good, he does this. He doesn't take. And now we've got a nice square for the knight. Okay, but the game still seems even, but Black is getting a little activity here. Centralize the king. He's trying to force c5 in. He looks like he can do it now. He doesn't want to do it. Now he wants to do it. Uh-oh. Missed a trick. Okay, so after this you can't take. White's in trouble. And Black has won a piece. And more. Because there goes the pawn. And that's all she wrote. And now he walks into checkmate. Did he have a second mate here? Is this mate? That's mate too. I guess the knight mate's prettier. Okay, so, you're moving too fast. Everybody is always moving too fast. Don't you guys watch the video? Slow down. Calculate. Find a better move. Okay, so we have one game left. Let's see, 10 moves. Okay, so here, one late game, Black is taking his time. Very good. Okay, so let's look at the opening. Okay, 4 knights. Game's about even. Uh-oh. Gonna play the center fork trick, are you? Here it is. It's in the center, it's a fork, so it's a trick. Now here, Black has given back the piece. White has the bishop pair. Now here, Black is weakening his kingside position, so I suspect this is not great. Okay, so this is unless he starts another game, this looks like to be the last one. So what I'm going to do is pause the video, take a quick break. Okay, I'm resuming this coverage of this one last game. It's clarified a lot. Seems to be decisive now. At this point, White undergoes an exchange. He gives up the bishop pair. It appears that Black needs to take back with his c pawn, because by taking back with the d pawn, he's going to drop a pawn. And nice, yes, I'm still here. Okay, so now let's come up here. There's the pawn plus, just defends e4. And here White is happy to, now he stepped into a pin, so Black breaks the pin. And here White just decides to simplify. So Black is fighting for a draw. The negative for Black here is of course that he's down a pawn, but his bishop doesn't really have a lot of scope, and he challenges the d file, but White just centralizes. Now here I think Black is making mistakes by putting pawns on the color of his bishop. This bishop is getting its mobility reduced. And then here we see yet another pawn go on a dark square. And now white is happy to go into a minor piece ending with a pawn plus. So black has some chances to hold this because he's got the bishop, but white has all the fun here. Okay, so this is smart. Get the pawn on the opposite color of the bishop, takes the square away from the king, and black's bishop has no targets. There's only one pawn that bishop could potentially attack. So white's just improves the position of his knight, and this is the move that throws the game away. Because after this, you're just walking into a fork, and black has no hope here. This knight's going to find a nice outpost here, and the net result is another pawn falls, and it's just a matter of wrap up for white. I will admire black for taking his time, but he just overlooked a one move trick here. With king g6, he walked right into a pawn fork and lost his bishop for 2 pawns. So with only a piece for a pawn, that's not enough. And now you're down a clear piece. So it's just a matter of white consolidating his advantage. He'll use the king and knight to push the king back and enter in with the king, and some of these pawns will eventually fall, and the new queen will be born. So let's step back to this point here and try to find a way for black to hold on here. Okay, so as I noted earlier, this pawn is ideally posted. It's keeping the white king from advancing. But white can undergo... Well, black has to come up with a better move than king g6. One idea is a5, putting a pawn on a light square, or on a dark square. It would weaken this square, but maybe that's inconsequential. White could play f5, forcing the bishop to go somewhere. We'll pick here. And then bring the king up. And then e5 check is coming. And white's gaining some territory. A new square for his knight. Black is defending this position. And the task is not enviable. So this was the only hope here, and make white demonstrate something. The knight could come here with the idea of popping in here, but at some point white either has to advance his e pawn and take over the e4 square. Although the king could come up here, but we can chase him out of there. Just redeploy the knight to e3. But anyway, looking forward, he lost the pawn. It's just a matter of time before this game ends. And as I say, this king will be forced back. Black will run out of pawn moves here in the near future, and he's almost out of them now. If a5, just b4. And after, even if he checks, the pawn moves are going to run out, and then you push the c pawn, you give up d4. That white king will use it. If you don't push c4 at some point, white's undermining with b4 anyway. So then it's just a matter of making this king back up. The king will penetrate into the position. As I say, these pawns are going to be lost. So, you took your time. You have everything to be proud of there. So now b4 should be played. C4 can get a little tricky. But probably not. Let's see, a4. Just take here. But no, you don't want to do that. Then the king doesn't have any entry squares here. But white will still be winning this. So he does play c4. Okay, I don't think it's the best choice. So black should probably play b4 here. But then, this knight is getting into play, and the king will come over here. Eventually we'll force this king back. and the white king will penetrate. So there's many ways to win this for white. You have that luxury when you're a piece ahead. There's nothing black can do. Once he runs out of pawn moves, he's out of pawn moves, and the king can come to e3. So he goes here. He'll probably push by. Yep, he pushed by. Okay, so black has to move his king, and this knight will occupy d5. The king will come over, and eventually black will have to let the king in here, and then this pawn is doomed to knight e3, and knight takes, and again this falls. So king e5, knight d5, and black must yield the f4 square to white. So game's almost over. If I had black, I would resign. Time to start a new game. Lick your wounds. Find out what you did right. What did you do wrong? And go play again. You can play them next Saturday. Play it just about every Saturday, unless there's an announcement to the contrary. You want to play. He starts at 2 p.m. German time. That's 1 p.m. London, 8 a.m. New York, 5 a.m. West Coast United States, 5:30 p.m. India. If you're in Southeast Asia, you're gonna have to wait up a little longer, or Australia. You can get a game with them. It's it means you stay up late, but if you want to play them, you got Sunday to sleep in. So, I don't know why black is taking so much time here. There's, his king can't control, keep the white king. The black king cannot keep the white king out of f4. And once the king is on f4, he's attacking f5, and the knight just moves around and collects it. So, not to mention a knight on d3 is also hitting c5, so king e5, knight d3 check, hitting c5, king d6, king f4. You can save the f pawn for a move, but you lose the c pawn. So maybe I haven't picked the most precise way for white to win this, but the writing is on the wall. So I'll simply keep following this, but in the future, when it's over, you're only going to win if white makes a mouse slip, or if white disconnects and can't get back. And what did you really win? You win the game, but you didn't really win. If I play Magnus Carlsen and he hangs his queen on the third move, I'm going to beat him. I think. I hope. But did I really beat him? Well, yeah, I did. But did I really, if I show my win to Magnus Carlsen, well, yeah, he handed you a queen on the third move. So nothing to brag about. Am I still here? Yes, of course I'm here. I wouldn't be anywhere else but here. That's a message. I wish that the fact that I'm hitting these arrows would count as activity, but it doesn't. I don't know what exactly I have to do to keep active here. Maybe I need to type in the chat or something. Hello. But then I really don't want to engage in a conversation if somebody responds, because I'm trying to give commentary to the games. I mean, there was one game where I made some commentary earlier in this video, about somebody moving too fast. Okay, so now the knight will go to d3, most likely, and the king will hop into f4, and black can't hold c5 and f5. Something's giving. But I mean, you could put the knight on h5, you could put it on g6. You could, almost anything wins here. It's just a matter of preference. I like knight d3 because it ties black down to defending c5, and then the black king can't defend both c5 and f5. So once the pawn on f5 falls, now king f4, black is losing another pawn next move. Either pick which one you want to lose, because you have to move your king. There are no pawn moves left. So take your time when you play him. You have 60 minutes with a 60-second increment. Good job for black in taking his time. He just made that one blunder which lost his piece. And then an earlier mistake losing the pawn on c7. But he was. This would have been a long drawn-out affair. Eventually, white should come out on top, but with black taking his time, I mean, he would have had. I would think he would hopefully come up with some good moves. Although we've seen some of these end games in this one today where the game that was a draw, white was better, and he allowed Christian Apler to get his rooks into play. There goes the f pawn, then the g pawn, just like I predicted. And there's no stopping this guy. Okay, so why is he still playing? And, the sad part is the king can't even come up. Okay, so now one idea is to send the king over to cut the king off. See, I think he lost the tempo there. But it doesn't really matter, I mean, if you come over this way to stop this guy, this falls. And then you got to worry about this one. And this one falls. You got to worry about that one. So yeah, so this is good. Here, let's just tie the king up. Force him back over here. And he's going to win all the pawns. Okay, so, black is losing all his pawns. So I might not have taken this pawn. I might have kept the king boxed in and just pushed the pawn up the board and deliver a checkmate. But he's going to win all the pawns. Oh, there, it's over. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone who played. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't play them, come back and play them every Saturday. Let's recap the times. 2 p.m. in Germany. So pretty much anywhere in Europe, it's 2 p.m. If you're not in the German time zone, you're not far, because London's an hour earlier. 1 p.m. If you're in New York City, Florida, Boston, Baltimore, that's 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. If you're in the West Coast of the United States, guess what? You have to get up at 5 a.m. But I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm on Pacific time. I was here. Okay. If you're in India, 5:30 p.m. Perfect time. Have a nice 3-hour game with them where you take your time, 3.5, 4 hours. You'll still get to bed plenty early. So I thank all of you for watching, all of you for playing, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again.